Tomorrow, something rare is about to happen in the sky, and if you're not paying attention, you might miss the single most powerful window for truth-telling you'll experience all year. On March 15th at 4 in the morning, Mercury and Mars will collide at the exact same point in the cosmos, 10 degrees Pisces. And this isn't just another planetary alignment. This is a cosmic collision between your mind and your will, between what you think and what you say, between the truth you've been holding back and the courage to finally speak it out loud. The words you've been afraid to say, they're about to come out, whether you're ready or not. And here's the thing most people don't realize, this energy is already building. If you've been feeling this strange pressure in your chest, like something needs to be said but you can't quite find the words yet, keep watching. Because there's one specific reason why this is happening to you right now, and I'll explain it later. So stay tuned. But first, you need to understand what makes tomorrow so dangerous, because while some people will use this energy to completely transform their relationships, their careers, and their entire life trajectory, others will let it consume them in chaos. The difference? Knowing exactly what's happening and how to harness it. The collision that's been building for weeks. Let's start with what's actually happening up there. Mercury, the planet of communication, thought, and language, has been moving backward through Pisces since late February. It's been scrambling signals, making everything feel foggy, forcing you to revisit old conversations and rethink decisions you thought were settled. And tomorrow, while Mercury is still in this backward motion, it's going to crash directly into Mars, the planet of action, aggression, and raw will. Think about that for a second. Your mind, already turned inward and confused, is about to collide with your most primal drive to act. This creates what astrologers call sniper energy. It's not loud, it's not chaotic, it's precise, penetrating, and devastatingly accurate. Because when Mars operates in Pisces, the watery sign of intuition and emotion, it doesn't attack with brute force. It waits, it listens, it gathers emotional intelligence, and then it strikes at the exact perfect moment with surgical precision. But here's where it gets intense. Mercury isn't just retrograde, it's also in Pisces, a sign where logic doesn't work the same way. Facts blur, linear thinking falls apart. The boundaries between what's real and what's imagined start to dissolve. So when these two planets meet tomorrow, you're not getting clear, rational communication. You're getting something deeper, something that's been buried. The words you didn't know you were holding. Remember when I said if you've been feeling pressure in your chest, there's a reason. This is it. For weeks, maybe even months, you've been sitting on something. A truth, a realization, a boundary that needs to be set, a confession that needs to be made. You've probably rationalized it away, told yourself it's not the right time, convinced yourself that keeping the peace is more important than speaking up. Maybe you've even started the conversation in your head 100 times, but every time you go to open your mouth, something stops you. That's Mercury retrograde doing its job. It's been taking you backward, making you review, reconsider, replay every angle of what needs to be said. And tomorrow, when it collides with Mars, all that internal pressure is going to find its release valve. The fearless words are coming, and they won't sound like you expect them to. They won't be loud or aggressive. They'll be calm, clear, and undeniable. Because they've been refined in the depths of your subconscious, stripped of all the noise and defensiveness, distilled down to pure truth. Why tomorrow is different from any other day. You might be thinking, okay, but planetary alignments happen all the time. Why is this one so special? Fair question. And here's the answer. It's not just about Mercury and Mars. It's about everything else that's happening at the same time. 2 days ago, on March 13th, Mars crossed the North Node of Destiny. The North Node is your soul's evolutionary direction, where you're meant to be heading, even if it scares you. When Mars hit that point, it triggered a massive surge of karmic urgency. Actions that were meant to happen started feeling unavoidable. And then, just 1 day before the Mercury-Mars collision, Mars squared Black Moon Lilith on March 14th. Lilith represents the raw, untamed parts of you that society tells you to suppress, the anger you're not supposed to express, the desires you're not supposed to admit, the truth that makes people uncomfortable. So by the time tomorrow arrives, you're standing at the intersection of three massive forces: Mercury's backward journey through your subconscious, Mars's karmic mandate to move forward, and Lilith's demand that you stop censoring yourself. The three conversations that will change everything. Here's what nobody is telling you about tomorrow's energy. It's not going to manifest the same way for everyone. Depending on where you are in your life, what you've been avoiding, and what your soul is demanding from you, this Mercury-Mars collision will trigger one of three crucial conversations. And these aren't just casual chats. These are the dialogues that permanently alter the trajectory of your reality. Let me break them down. Conversation 1. The ultimatum you can no longer avoid. The first conversation is raw, it's uncomfortable, and it's been building for a very long time. This is the conversation where you finally vocalize the boundary that's been violated over and over again, where you name the pattern that's been destroying you, where you say the thing that's been clawing at your throat for months, maybe years. Maybe it's telling your partner that you can't continue living in emotional limbo. Maybe it's confronting a family member about a dynamic that's been draining your soul. Maybe it's walking into your boss's office and saying that you're done accepting treatment that diminishes you. What makes this conversation fearless isn't that you're not afraid, it's that you're willing to risk everything, the relationship, the job, the approval, in exchange for your own authenticity. Because Lilith's influence on this conjunction means you're not asking for permission anymore, you're not softening the message, you're not over-explaining or apologizing for taking up space. You're delivering the truth surgically, precisely, and without apology. And yes, it might destroy something, but that something was already destroying you. Conversation 2. The confession that realigns your destiny. The second conversation is different. It's not about confrontation, it's about confession. This is where the North Node's influence becomes impossible to ignore. You've been feeling a pull towards something, a different path, a different version of yourself. And tomorrow, you're going to have to speak that pull into existence. Maybe you've been pretending to want the career everyone expects from you, but deep down you know it's killing your spirit. Maybe you've been going through the motions in a relationship because it looks right on paper, but your soul is screaming that this isn't your person. Maybe you've been living in a city, maintaining a lifestyle, following a script that was never really yours to begin with. The North Node doesn't care about logic, it doesn't care about what makes sense, it only cares about where your soul is meant to evolve. And when Mars crosses it, the urgency becomes unbearable. You can't keep pretending anymore. So tomorrow, you might find yourself saying things like, "I know this doesn't make sense, but I can't keep doing this." Or, "I need to follow this even though I can't explain why." Or, "Something inside me is telling me this is the path and I have to trust it." This conversation changes everything because it's the moment you stop living for external validation and start living for your soul's truth. And once you speak it out loud, there's no taking it back. The universe hears it, and it starts rearranging reality to match. Conversation 3. The surrender that dissolves your armor. The third conversation is the quietest, but possibly the most powerful. This isn't about boundaries or destiny. This is about vulnerability. Pure, unfiltered, ego-dissolving vulnerability. Pisces is the sign of surrender, and when both Mercury and Mars are swimming in these waters, they're being asked to let go of the need to win, to be right, to maintain control. This conversation happens when you finally drop the mask. Maybe it's looking at someone and saying, "I don't have this figured out, I'm lost and I need help." Maybe it's admitting, "I was wrong, I'm sorry, I don't know how to fix this." Maybe it's confessing, "I'm scared, I'm hurting, and I can't pretend to be strong anymore." In a world that equates vulnerability with weakness, using Mars energy, warrior energy, to defend your right to be soft is revolutionary. You're not collapsing, you're not giving up. You're consciously choosing authenticity over armor. And what happens when you do this? The other person has nothing to fight against. Your honesty disarms them completely. The walls come down. Real connection becomes possible. Healing can finally begin. This conversation changes everything because it proves that true strength isn't about never breaking. It's about having the courage to let someone see you broken. The hidden force making this even more intense. Now here's something most astrology content won't tell you. There's a specific detail about this conjunction that amplifies everything I've just described, and it has to do with the degree where Mercury and Mars are meeting. They're colliding at 10 degrees Pisces, and in esoteric astrology, every single degree of the zodiac has a symbol attached to it, a clairvoyant image that reveals deeper meaning. The symbol for this exact degree is men traveling a narrow path, seeking illumination. Read that again. Men traveling a narrow path, not a wide, comfortable highway, a narrow path, one that requires you to leave baggage behind, one that demands focus, one that forces you to strip away everything that isn't essential. This tells you exactly what tomorrow's conversations are really about. They're not random, they're not petty, they're part of your journey toward illumination, toward clarity, toward truth. The fearless words you speak tomorrow are the tools you're using to clear the fog, to cut through the confusion, to create a path where there wasn't one before. Every difficult conversation, every uncomfortable truth, every boundary you set, it's all part of navigating that narrow path. And the people who refuse to speak these truths, they stay lost in the fog, they stay stuck in the illusion, they keep walking in circles, wondering why nothing ever changes. What happens after you speak? Here's what they don't tell you about moments like this. Speaking the truth is only half of the equation. The other half is what happens in the days that follow. On March 16th, the day after the conjunction, Mercury will square Black Moon Lilith. This means the shockwaves of what you said are still reverberating. You might second-guess yourself. You might feel exposed. The other person might react in ways you didn't expect. Don't retreat. Don't apologize for your truth. Don't try to soften what was said. The discomfort you feel isn't a sign that you made a mistake. It's a sign that you broke a pattern. And broken patterns always feel unstable before they stabilize into something new. Then, on March 18th, there's a new moon in Pisces. This is your reset. This is where you get to set intentions based on the new reality you've created. The old dynamics are gone. The air has been cleared. Now you get to consciously choose what you're building in the space you've cleared. And finally, on March 20th, two major shifts happen simultaneously. Mercury stations direct, ending its retrograde, and the Sun enters Aries, marking the spring equinox and the astrological new year. Think about the symbolism of that. The fog lifts, the internal review period ends, and you step into the fresh, fiery energy of new beginnings. But this time, you're starting from a foundation of truth. The lies have been cleared, the illusions have been shattered. You're building on solid ground now. The mistake most people will make tomorrow. I need to warn you about something, because as powerful as this energy is, it can also be destructive if you're not careful. The biggest mistake people make during a Mercury-Mars conjunction, especially in Pisces, is confusing intuition with paranoia. Pisces dissolves boundaries. It makes everything feel connected, significant, loaded with meaning, and when Mars gets involved, that feeling becomes urgent. You might wake up tomorrow absolutely convinced that you need to confront someone, end something, or make a dramatic move. But here's the question you need to ask first. Is this coming from clarity, or is this coming from fear? Because Mercury retrograde has been stirring up old wounds. It's been replaying past hurts. And if you're not careful, you might think you're speaking your truth when you're actually just reacting to a trigger. The fearless words that need to be spoken tomorrow are the ones that have been refined through weeks of reflection. They're not impulsive. They're not reactive. They've been distilled down to their essence through the retrograde process. So before you speak, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, have I been thinking about this for weeks, or did this just occur to me in the heat of the moment? If it's been brewing, building, demanding to be said, that's your truth. But if it's sudden and emotionally charged without any prior contemplation, that might be your fear talking. How to harness this energy without destroying everything. Let me give you the roadmap for tomorrow, because you don't want to waste this opportunity, but you also don't want to burn your life down recklessly. First, embrace the pause. Pisces doesn't like rushing. Even though Mars wants immediate action, the wisdom here is in waiting for the right moment. The words will come when they're ready. Trust that. Second, speak from your body, not just your mind. Pisces is a water sign. It operates through feeling, through somatic knowing. If something feels true in your gut, in your chest, in your bones, that's more reliable than anything your mind is trying to logic out. Third, surrender the outcome. This is crucial. You're not speaking these truths to control how someone responds. You're speaking them because your soul can no longer tolerate the silence. Whether they understand, whether they change, whether they stay, that's not your responsibility. Your only responsibility is to the truth itself. And finally, give yourself permission to be imperfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to articulate everything perfectly. Mercury in Pisces isn't about precision, it's about emotional resonance. If your truth comes out messy, poetic, or even through tears, that's still valid, that's still powerful. The real reason this matters. Look, I know this all sounds intense, maybe even overwhelming, but here's why tomorrow matters so much. You are not the same person you were before this eclipse season started. On March 3rd, there was a total lunar eclipse in Virgo that shook loose all the unsustainable patterns in your life, the things you were holding together through sheer willpower, through perfectionism, through control. They crumbled. And now, as we approach the new moon and spring equinox, you're standing at the threshold of a completely new chapter, but you can't step through that threshold carrying the old lies, the old dynamics, the old version of yourself that stayed silent. Tomorrow's Mercury-Mars conjunction is your invitation to leave that old self behind, to speak the words that the new you needs to say, to clear the path for who you're becoming. Because here's the truth. On March 21st, when the dust settles and Mercury is direct and the Sun is in Aries, you're going to wake up in a different reality. And the difference between people who thrive in that new reality and people who struggle isn't about luck. It's about whether they had the courage to speak their truth when it mattered most. Tomorrow is when it matters most. What you'll feel after the words are spoken. Here's something beautiful that nobody talks about: the relief. The moment after you finally say the thing you've been holding back, there's this incredible release. Like a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying suddenly lifts. Your shoulders drop. Your jaw unclenches. You can breathe deeper. It doesn't matter how the other person responded. It doesn't matter if the conversation went perfectly. What matters is that you honored yourself. You spoke your truth. You walked the narrow path toward illumination. And in the days that follow, you'll notice something strange. Things that used to bother you don't have the same power anymore. Situations that used to make you anxious feel lighter. Because you prove to yourself that you can handle difficult conversations. You can set boundaries. You can be honest even when it's uncomfortable. That's the real gift of tomorrow's conjunction. It's not about fixing everything or making everyone understand. It's about reclaiming your voice. And once you do that, everything else starts to shift. The choice that's sitting in front of you. So here we are. Tomorrow morning, when that conjunction perfects at 4 in the morning, the cosmic door opens. The question is, are you going to walk through it? Are you going to speak the boundary that needs to be set? Are you going to confess the truth about your path? Are you going to surrender the armor and let someone see you? Or are you going to let this moment pass? Are you going to convince yourself that it's not the right time, that you need to think about it more, that maybe things will just work themselves out? Because I'll tell you what happens if you choose silence. The pressure doesn't go away, it builds, and 3 months from now, 6 months from now, you'll look back at this moment and wonder why you didn't take the opportunity when it was right in front of you. The universe is literally aligning to support you in speaking your truth. Mercury and Mars are colliding to give you the courage and the clarity. The North Node is pulling you toward your destiny. Lilith is demanding you stop censoring yourself. Everything is conspiring to help you change your life. All you have to do is open your mouth and let the fearless words come out. Tomorrow, the narrow path opens. The narrow path isn't easy. It requires you to leave comfort behind, to face uncertainty, to risk everything for truth. But it's the only path that leads to illumination. It's the only path that leads to freedom. And tomorrow, when Mercury and Mars collide in the watery depths of Pisces, that path becomes visible. The fog clears just enough for you to see the first few steps. The words you need to say, they'll come to you. The courage you need to say them, it'll rise from somewhere deep inside. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to know how it's all going to work out. You just need to trust that speaking your truth is always the right move. So tomorrow, when the pressure builds and the words start forming and you feel that surge of fearless articulation rising up, don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Let it come through. Let the truth be spoken. Let the conversations change everything. Because on the other side of those fearless words is the version of your life you've been waiting for, and it's closer than you think. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.